What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today we're going to talk about Hawaii and Arizona. So this comes as a question. I did live in Hawaii before I moved to Arizona, so I lived there for 3 years. I do have some information. I also lived in California for 10 years, but I've already done a video comparing Arizona and California, so I'm going to do Arizona and Hawaii. So here's the question. It comes in from Laura Donham. Comparison request. We are from Hawaii. Have not been home in 23 years. Good friends from Arizona moved from Northern California to Tucson. I got to visit and agreed with your perceptions in your Tucson video. Would love to have you do a comparison between Hawaiian Islands and Tucson. Okay, so I'm going to do Arizona and Hawaiian Islands, but I can also mention Tucson in that. And we know about the absurd housing cost of living issues in Hawaii. We are hearing horror stories about what happened to Hawaii from locals that left or went back to visit. Thank you. Very much enjoying your informative videos. Much appreciated. Okay, so this is going to be between Arizona and Hawaii. And yeah, I'll just go ahead and do some quick talks. This right here is the Hawaiian Islands. You're just not going to find this kind of serene beauty in Arizona because we don't get this ocean, and the ocean that we get is the Baja or the Pacific, and it doesn't look like this aquamarine. So one thing that Hawaii has on Arizona is better aquatic marine opportunity and tropics, okay? Arizona does not have tropics. But did you notice I phrased it in a way, I did not necessarily say that Hawaii is more beautiful than Arizona, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So there are beautiful places in Arizona that can keep up with beautiful Hawaii. And I'm talking about places like Havasupai that does have aquamarine water, except it's not salt. It's the Colorado River, right? You can get that down in the Colorado River, this aqua zone. You also have places like the Lake Havasu and other lakes around Arizona where you can get that, aquatic experience. Now, you're not going to be getting humpback whales and sharks and dolphins and tropical fish, but that is what Hawaii has. So I lived on Maui and I lived on the Big Island. This is Maui right here. Right over here would be Kihei. And over here is Lahaina, and behind that is Molokai, and over here to the left would be Lanai. I've been to Lanai, Maui, Big Island, Oahu, Kauai. I never went to Molokai. Okay, but you can see that it is a 5-hour flight basically from Phoenix to Hawaii, so you could still get there even if you lived in Arizona. Now, we'll just show you around the Arizona.gov website. You could see that it's just not quite going to live up to your experience in Hawaii as far as your visuals. Now, some things that I would say you can do if you really want to know how I felt about Hawaii. Come on to my other channel. It's called Island Hopper TV. So you search YouTube and you go right here. I have videos from Maui up to 9, and I have 10 from Big Island. So there's a lot more on the channel than that. But you come on here, you can see on Island Hopper TV, you can watch my videos around Hawaii, just like I did here in Arizona. But these are more like actually out and about, not necessarily sitting down. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So in case you didn't know, Las Vegas is considered the 9th island. They call Las Vegas the 9th island because a lot of people from Hawaii moved to Las Vegas. I would say then if Las Vegas is the 9th island, then Arizona may be the 10th or 11th. The only other state that I bumped into people from Hawaii commonly would be Alaska. It seemed like people from Alaska go from Alaska to Hawaii back and forth. It's a thing. Not just because the humpbacks do that. That's what the humpbacks do. They go up to Alaska, up the Pacific Northwest, all the way up to Canada, and they go back down to Hawaii for the winter, for the breeding grounds, right? So Arizona would have to be one of the other places, along with Las Vegas and Alaska, where people just seem to have a correlation or a relationship between the islands and Arizona. And that even goes into the point of saying that the Native Americans seem to have the same kind of petroglyphs on the ground as the people of Hawaii. If you go to Hawaii and you look at the petroglyphs or hieroglyphs on the ground, even in Volcano National Park, for example, they're similar to the spiral hieroglyph. is also found in the Arizona desert and found in Hawaii. Now, I will also say that there are parts of Hawaii that reminded me a lot of Arizona. For example, Kona. When I moved to Kona, I said I like it because it reminds me of Phoenix with an ocean. Now, okay, what do I not like about Hawaii that I like about Arizona? No, number one is it was so expensive. I felt like I couldn't touch anything. Even though I lived there, I didn't own anything. I couldn't touch anything. And if I wanted to own anything, I needed to have like $1 million in the bank, really. Sure, you can buy land for cheap in Volcano National Park for like $14,000 or near Volcano. But you're living in a volcano zone, so at any given point that you build a house, it could be taken out. You know, that's what happens. So the cheap land in Hawaii is near the volcano. But to be living in Hawaii safely and with peace of mind, you would be basically paying a lot of money. And yeah, the quality is just not going to be there. So I got higher quality homes in Phoenix that I didn't get in Hawaii. So yes, I would still like to go back to Hawaii, Big Island, or Maui and build a home, but it's going to require that I bring a little bit more money than I had when I was there. Whereas in Arizona, $270,000 got me a nice house, and so I chose nice home and comfort in a spacious home where I actually had a backyard and I could do things, opposed to living in a 2-bedroom apartment where I couldn't touch anything. Just to say, I paid $1,700 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment in Kihei, and I pay $1,700 a month for my mortgage here in Phoenix. Big house, big difference. But the beauty of living in Hawaii at the time was I was within, walking distance to the beach. So at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this is something I do miss. I remember just walking down to the beach, going to get some food, and every evening I would go down to the beach and just go walk around, and that was pretty nice. It was good, and it was beautiful blue skies. Sometimes it would get windy in Maui. Maui does get a little bit more windy than the Big Island. But I even did the same thing when I lived in Kona. At 3 o'clock, I'd go walk down to Kailua Pier. So I do miss that. Whereas here, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can go walk around the neighborhood. But I mean, I say to myself, man, this isn't quite like what I had in Hawaii. So there are gives and takes. Like I get better, more comfortable housing, but when I step out my door, my environment isn't as amazing as it was in Hawaii. And I thought that was a big point. If I was to really talk about Tucson and Hawaii, I think it's the same kind of thing that I feel in Phoenix. It's a little bit more affordable. The cost of living overall is more affordable in Tucson, in Phoenix, in Arizona than it is in the Hawaiian Islands. But another island that I really liked that reminded me kind of the Arizona desert was Lanai. So when you go on a ferry from Maui to Lanai, you can check Island Hopper TV. I have a video of doing that, taking the ferry from Lahaina to Lanai. But I always thought that Lanai reminded me of Arizona's desert also, but it's way less populated. Lanai is pretty much, I think only 7,000 people live on Lanai. Granted, it's a small island, but between the tourists and the people that live in Hawaii or in Maui, Maui always seemed like it was starting to get more and more people, kind of like Oahu. Oahu just got very crowded because it's like a little Tokyo, and so people from Japan come there, which is no problem with that. It's just when you get a lot of people from Japan, now China's starting to come there, and then people from America like to go there, and then very few and far between you get some Europeans that go there, but it just starts to get really crowded in Oahu. And so that's another thing. The infrastructure in Oahu is atrocious. I mean, it's like they don't even build brand new resorts, and they haven't since the 90s and the 80s. And so you're going to a hotel room in Honolulu, it's going to cost you $250 plus a $40 resort fee plus $35 to park your car per night. And you're staying in a hotel room that's the size of this room with a bed that doesn't even have very nice, the shower is going to be like janky. I mean, that's Honolulu's experience in Waikiki right now. Whereas in Arizona, you could stay in some pretty nice resorts. Now, granted, there are some nice resorts across Kihei and, or not Kihei, but, across, McKenna, Lahaina, Kaanapali, Maui. You even got some nice ones in Princeville and Kauai and whatnot. But overall, I would say that I chose to move back to Arizona because I chose to get a bigger house. I will say that being close to the beach aquamarine water was something that I really loved. I don't know where that came from. My dad thinks it was because I was in the Navy for 8.5 years that I really started to fall in love with the ocean or something like this. And because he's like, how could a guy from Arizona, lived in Arizona, born and raised for 20 years, prefer living next to the ocean and not being out here under the stars with the coyotes out in the desert? Because he's from the desert, so he just thinks this is the greatest place on earth out here in Phoenix. Me, I'm like, well, he did go to Hawaii before I was born. He lived in Kona for 3 months. He was young, like 22, 23, and he didn't have quite the experience that I had. So he's like, oh no, I'm good. I'll stay here in Arizona. But I don't know. That's my take on it. I know this isn't exactly the most jam-packed informational video about Arizona and Hawaii, but it is about my experience. And overall, it just comes down to the fact that I chose to live in a place that was affordable. Cost of living in Hawaii is expensive. Also, there's a brain drain in Hawaii. It's a thing. It's known as a brain drain, and you get island fever. So the brain drain is there's not a lot of sophisticated jobs and thinking there. It's not a place where like industry or commercialization takes place. Pretty much all the jobs are in resorts or tourist accommodation. The real jobs. There's not much for people who want to do other things. Whereas like out here, you got corporations. You've got USA. You've got GoDaddy. You've got so many different tech jobs and industries out here. You can get high-paying jobs, great jobs that you just can't get in Hawaii. Sure, they have like a tire place and a mechanic shop in Hawaii, but even then, it's like you're not going to be making any more money than you're living in Arizona, but you're going to be paying 2 to 3 times more to live there because of the cost of living. The last thing is the island fever. Once you go around one of the islands so many times, it does kind of get old after a while, and you're going to start to yearn for your family or some friends that you've had for a long time to be around you. Because even being in Hawaii, you go there for 2 to 3 years, it's a small island. It's like seeing the same thing over and over again. So people get this thing called island fever. I don't know if I ever got island fever. Maybe I did. Maybe I kind of said, okay, I'm ready to try something new. But that's just the way I look at it. I mean, it's a beautiful place. The islands are. I love it. I miss it. I'm going to go back. Can't wait to go back, actually. It's a place that I think you could just visit there. I mean, go there, visit, maybe even, I don't know, do whatever you want to do. But thanks to everyone who's been subscribing to Living in Arizona, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks to everyone who's been dropping comments, asking questions, letting us know where they're viewing from. I like getting those kind of questions that also include where you're viewing from. So we'll see you guys next time.